Well, we made it to the playoffs last episode. Now is the time to get things back on track, retool, figure out our team, and build for next year. What's going on, guys? Jay Hoyt back with you today. Welcome back to episode number 15 of our franchise mode with the Buffalo Sabres. So like I said in the intro, today's video will be the offseason as we need to figure out our team for next year. Do we need to make any changes? Do we need to make any big changes or just small little tweaks and get kind of just the right pieces in place? But like I said, this is the start of the off season where we are at the draft, right? Nobody retired that I can remember, and if there was, I think it was just kind of like a, just random AHL guy. But for the most part, we have the 21st overall pick. We have some guys on the trade block as well. Some guys that, we're going to see if we can make a move for. And the big thing this episode, we need to make a decision on Dylan Levi. So the reason I say that is the last few years have not been good for him, right? A good young goalie that has the potential just has not brought it for us, right? He is still an RFA this year. He has one more year, I believe, of that status, or he is an RFA this year, I should say. And obviously, we're going to re-sign him or, send him that qualifying offer. But then after this year, I believe it is, that he will be a UFA. So obviously, he's going to want a bigger contract. But the thing is, does he deserve that? I would say no. So that's going to be something we kind of decide on in this episode. Are we going to trade him? Are we going to keep him? We do have our backup Tarasov that is there. But we need to kind of push him, right? Either you got to get good or you got to get out, right? One of the two. But either way, let's jump into the draft. We got a couple of draft picks there that I'm interested in, and let's just see what happens. So we do end up trading backwards, which is something I usually don't do, or at least try not to do. But in this case, there was nobody around the 21st overall pick that we actually were interested in. So we did trade back to the 26th overall pick, which was the original Anaheim Ducks pick. And there's actually two players right here that I am, one more so than anything, I am very interested in. So there is a very good other left wing here, Tuukka something or other. This guy who has A's and B's across the board, NHL ready, which is awesome, which is great. But the problem is we don't really have room for any forwards. But you know what we do have room for? A right-hand defenseman with pretty much all of the same things. So we are going to be grabbing Ross Conroy here. He says he's 1 year away. Even if it's 1 year away, that's totally fine, right? We're gonna help out the defense regardless. So yes, Ross Conroy, get on our team. And 77 overall, very solid top four. We did get back an additional fourth round pick. And I tried to get a third, but it's not like real life where they actually make stupid moves like that. But either way, let's get on with the rest of the draft. If nothing interesting happens, we'll see you in the re-sign stage. Well, here we are, July 1st, and we are not in a good spot here, right? Usually at this point, I always come in, I'm like, yep, we signed everyone we needed to. Here's some free agents. Yeah, that didn't happen this time. So, I don't know why, but I clicked on the wrong screen. But both Middlestat and Peyton Krebs both did not want to sign a contract. I tried a mixture of a few different deals, right? Couple like 1 or 2 years, 3, 4, even like, long term, like 5, 6, 7 years. And they just did not want to accept any of them, right? We gave them good size offers for what I thought was a fair trade or fair, number. And they weren't having it. So they did end up walking in free agency, so we do not have control of them anymore, which sucks. But they are both free agents. We kind of, still signed them. However, as you could tell, Middlestat is asking for 4 years at just above $10 million. However, he is in one of those situations where if we take a look at, let's just say, is one of these guys RFA? No, okay, so if you look, Velarde wants $14.1 million, and let's see if it actually does it. But yeah, so you move his years differently, and he all of a sudden wants a little bit less money. Similar thing probably here with Strome as well. No, his is about accurate. But right here would be a really good example. Would be awesome. Nope, you still want $9 million. But either way, so we did offer him, what was the final, it doesn't show. I think it was $9 million for 4 years. Or not 4 years, 5 years, I think it was, because it was 1 year off. I believe it was 5 years, $9 million. Which, funny enough, is one of the offers I sent to him in the re-sign stage, which he did not accept. So if he doesn't come back to us, I mean, we do still have Cousins. We still can have Savoy on the third line. It would mean Peterka would get his third line spot back, which wouldn't necessarily be a terrible thing. However, an 88 overall obviously is a very good player. So I'm hoping if Mittelstadt doesn't re-sign with us, then we can get Strome if he's still there. If not, there's a couple other options there as well. Even go with some more, veteran leadership like Crosby or Kuznetsov, who's right there. But yeah, so we did that with Mittelstadt. A very similar thing with Peyton Krebs. I think similar offer to him. I think his was 4 years, $9 million as well. So we don't really have a good replacement for Krebs as we do the center spot, but we did offer him a relatively big contract as well. So $9 million, I think it was 4 years, or maybe, I think it was 4 years. But the bad part, right? 9 plus 9, 18. Look down at the bottom left, look at our cap space. We have $20 million to spend. And when we go take a look at people we still have to sign, now you see that Tarasov, Peterka, and Brock Faber all still need contracts. But that's only 3, but still relatively decent-sized contracts because Tarasov probably going to want at least a couple million. Peterka's on 2.5 on his qualifying offer. Faber's, I think, just under $2 million. And then also, by the way, we have Dylan Levi, too, who's under a $3 million qualifying offer. So 3 plus 2.5, that's 5.5, plus another 2, that's 7.5. So unfortunately, I feel like we're going to have to make a trade. And it's one I don't want to make, but we need cap space right now. If we want to bring back Mittelstadt, want to bring back Krebs, and we want to be able to sign the rest of our guys, we're going to have to do some evaluation on our roster. And unfortunately, I don't know who it's going to be just yet. I have a couple of ideas, which will free up a good amount of money. But obviously, it's, we have some really good players, and I don't really want to get rid of them. After scouring all of the teams and trying to find a trade that would make sense, we came to this one where we actually go back to our old playoff dreading second round matchup in the New Jersey Devils, and we actually found a trade that somewhat makes sense for, I don't want to say both of us, but mainly for us. So we'll be trading away Brett Pesce, which, is not something I love doing, but, 15 points, I mean, plus 7 as far as plus minus. At 86 overall, we're expecting a little bit more out of that. Obviously the first year wasn't, crazy. But the second year, that's solid. But I could also pay $1.5, $2 million for the same performance. So, I know that's not going to be that hard to replace. Obviously a guy that is older that wants to win, but at the same time, we have money issues. So we need to figure it out, and we're going to start with that. So our trade is Pesce going to New Jersey. Is it Simon? I don't actually remember. Yeah, Simon Nemec from New Jersey, which already, if you look at it, at least as far as points go, 25, minus 6, but, whatever. After a few years in the NHL, I actually didn't really play it all last year, which was kind of weird, or the 2 years ago, which is kind of strange. But either way, 24-year-old, 82 overall, medium elite, former second overall pick, and he still is an RFA going into next year, and probably even the year after, maybe even the year after that. So a little bit of team control. We're going to add in a third-round draft pick. Hope that helps, balance out the value. Will that go through? Of course not. Finally get it to go through. We added on a prospect that we didn't want, as well as a 4th round draft pick, which, again, when you looked at that on paper before we even got started, it wasn't really close. So whatever. But we might have to make one more move. Well, as we started this offseason, we had told you guys that both Mittelstadt and Krebs walked in free agency, and we just got the results of that. Mittelstadt does sign with the Calgary Flames, $10.45 million for 4 years. Yeah, we were not going to counter that at that much. I mean, obviously we're going to miss that production, but yeah, we were never going to be able to afford that. And then the second part of that being Peyton Krebs going back to where he was drafted, back as reverse of the Jack Eichel trade, goes back to Vegas, $10.6 million for 5 years. I mean, obviously those are some big contracts, but I mean, that does put us in a very tough spot. All right, so we're here following the, I guess, losses or the confirmation that both Mittelstadt and Krebs are not signing with us. And we need to fill those spots, right? So center, obviously that's a big loss for us, but we do have Cousins, right? We have Cousins in Savoy that can fill in on that second and third line role. And that would allow us to move Batherson back up to our top 6, move Peterka back, so it gets us back, kind of in shape, and we don't really have a lot of, extra people. But that does leave us a big gap on our left wing side. So I did find a few possible trades, and one could be a really good reunion. One could be a kind of a low cost, low risk type trade, and the other one would just be kind of a good veteran. Would also be sort of a reunion, if you will. So obviously I know those are very vague, but we're going to try this one first. So we go over to our first round opponent from last year's playoffs and the New York Rangers. And this one, we're going to be going for Alexis Lafreniere. And in this one, what screen was that? Alexis Lafreniere here, obviously former first round pick. Does have all of the things we need. Goal scoring, can get the points, does well on the power play. 86 overall. He's listed as a second line left wing, which is exactly where we kind of need a spot. As well as top 6, medium potential. And he's got everything we need, right? So he fits on our second line, again, right where we need him. And also we could bounce him around, depending on how, we want to do that. So in this one, there was one prospect that would have been identified as, probably that guy needs to be moved. However, I don't really want to trade him because I hate giving up our good prospects. But we do have a few extra centers down there, which are kind of like our, I'll say, B or C level prospects, along with third round draft pick. Will this go through to get him? No. There we go. We switch around the draft picks a little bit more from our end, and then the same 3 prospects gets the deal done, as they are happy to accept our proposal on behalf of the Rangers. So welcome Lafreniere to the team. Obviously, thank you to all the guys that we just traded away. But let's go keep putting this team back together. Well, here we are at the start of the preseason, and what a offseason it was, right? Obviously not the most ideal one, given that we built, most of our team up from within. And we had Mittelstadt kind of make a big resurgence. Krebs, all the young players we did, all the moves we made to get to the point where we were last year. And then I really just feel like we took a massive step back this year. And obviously not for the lack of trying, but it just didn't work out, right? As we saw in the real NHL, some people, although they want to stick around, whether it's money, whether it's opportunity, whether it's role, whatever it may be, they move on. And sometimes they sign big deals with their teams. In this case, that's what happened. So it was a tough one, obviously losing 2 of our big, key free agents that we wanted back. But also another thing happened. And towards the end of the offseason, we still were without a contract for Tarasov. And he was one player I was going to try to sign for, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, whatever it may be. He wanted like $5 to $6 million. I was like, heck yeah, threw in an offer. He declined that, and then as soon as that offer came back as, declined, rejected, whatever it may be, I don't remember the team, but they offered him a $8.89 million contract, which you can't actually do in the game, I believe. Or no, actually you can. But they offered him that year for 1 year, and it was either take a first, second, and a third round draft pick from whatever year or match that offer. So we had to match the offer. Now, obviously, Tarasov was a guy we want to stick around, but also now we're fighting with the cap once again when we didn't think we were going to be doing that. So I'm hoping that once the time where we can extend him to an extension, that the cap ask or that asking price will come down. But until then, this is where we sit in the preseason as we have some good battles this year. Obviously, obviously word got around that we lost two of our big free agents, and now lots of people want opportunities. So we did sign Luke Cunnin, who was on your screen. We did sign a couple of fourth liners, or actually 3 fourth liners that are all on our fourth line right now, all looking for opportunities this year. We do have lots of good young players that just are here and they're ready to play and obviously want spots. So a lot of those guys are in the lineup this preseason, and we look to see how well they will perform. Obviously, we still have all of the other guys, but we're going to give a shot to all of these younger players to see if any of them are ready for the NHL. However, on defense, it's the same top 6 with the exception of No Pesci, but insert Nemec in here. And we do have finally up here, I don't think I can push it off any longer, our 5th overall pick from, 3 years ago. 86 overall, top 4, medium elite potential. I mean, you can't stick him down there forever. So we brought him up, right? And we can't not have him up here, right? He's too good to be in the AHL, and obviously he's not putting up 100 points down there, but still, we obviously need to bring him up at some point to just kind of see what he brings to the table. So you see obviously what he did in the AHL ever since he's been there, basically around 40 points. We had him on the power play and playing in all situations down there, and has done very well. Now, obviously, he's been pretty much an 80-plus overall ever since he's been down there. So now's the time, obviously, we need to give him a chance up in the NHL to see what he can bring us. So that will be our defensive look. Obviously, we saw the forwards as well as a battle of our goaltenders, right? It's going to be, honestly, it's going to be a 3-way battle, right? There's no solidified roles this year, right? If Klang all of a sudden comes up and performs really well and he beats out Levi and performs better than Tarasov, he's in, right? If Tarasov kind of craps the bed, then he'll be down there, right? It doesn't matter who you are anymore, right? I am getting sick of our goaltenders not bringing it to the table. So obviously it's going to be a little bit of a reset year with 2 key free agents missing, but we have lots of good young players, lots of good talent on this team that, we brought in or, re-signed or have brought up that are all looking to make the jump, looking to make an impact. And, now's the time to do it, right? It's preseason. It's a big year, coming off of our first playoff berth. It's time, right? It's time for us to get back to that promised land. But that's going to do it for today's video. Obviously a crazy one, a little bit of a sad one, if you will. But if you did enjoy, hit the like button down below. If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button as well. And as always, guys, we will see you in the next one.